Myself and Gauri will, okay. So myself and Gauri will bring about a new visual tool that will help us to gain quick insights from various business use cases. So throughout this workshop, what we'll be doing is we'll be sharing this new BI tool, which we call as OLAP or Visual OLAP, and it's available with the Python library. So myself, I'm based in Ireland currently. I work with the University of Limerick and I'm a postdoctoral researcher. So let's begin with the workshop. So we have seen the impact of on businesses, on various businesses during this entire 18 months of the pandemic period. Some of the business sectors have had, we can say, positive impacts. Some of the businesses have grown in spite of the current COVID-19 pandemics, while there has been some, we can say there has been some negative impacts on some other sectors. So we will try to look into different use cases and see like how visualization can help us to understand like what were the impacts on the various sectors, um, and and how we can understand COVID-19 much better. Anything for business is in terms of numbers. So business are whatever happens in the real world, usually in business is represented in numbers, but numbers don't make sense because it would be like lots of confusing the thing if you are looking at lots and lots of figures and numbers, and they won't make any sense. So to bring any sense to these kind of things, we incorporate visualization. So let's see how visualization can help us to better understand what's happening all around us. So if we, but before we to try to give any kind of, we can say, we can like any kind of insight we can gain from the numbers, we need to follow a certain process of how we analyze these numbers. So these numbers basically are stored in some, they are coming from some raw sources. So and those raw sources could be again at different they would be for coming from different regions or different locations, and each of them would be having their own ways of representation. So the first way would be to integrate all the different data that are coming from different raw sources, and then after cleaning them and extracting them from those sources, we will dump them into some places which nowadays usually we have data lakes or cloud platforms for those, where we can dump in those data. And then once that data is being done, now comes here the thing to try to make sense of the data that's coming in, and the volume at which it's coming, it's really scaling up to, as we'll see in the use cases how it's scaling up. So we need to quickly be able to make fast insights from those numbers. So one of the ways how we can make insights without doing much of coding and having some specialized kind of skill sets, can be through a way that we model the data, and that's through this tool that we are going to discuss today. But before we discuss about this tool, let's talk what is central in this tool, which we call as the OLAP. OLAP is the online analytical processing. So basically in online analytical processing, we have a cube. In that cube, we can look into data in whichever possible way we want to look at. So you can, I mean, you can play around with the cube. You can have many dimensions into the cubes, and you can have all possible insights gathered quickly from a multidimensional representation. So that's what this OLAP is all about. It allows us to have multidimensional representation of the data to gain, to answer some of the questions that businesses need, and in any possible way we can answer those questions. So like the level of detailing would depend on how we are defining our cube. So the main focus would be what would be the detailing that would be required, would be coming in from the business process, and accordingly we will define or redesign our cube. And once that is done, then these cubes allows us to present data again in the form that is commonly understood by the persons, we can say from coming from the non-technical backgrounds, in the forms of bars, charts, graphs, which are easily decipherable. So, and once we establish these bars and charts out of the cube, then the businesses are in a better position to make quick decisions based on what kind of analysis has been done on those numbers. So let's see some of the examples that we have been working into, and how visualization helps us to quickly understand and help in governing certain things. So in good governance. So this is a data that we were working on. It's coming from the public healthcare. It's the public healthcare data that represents how country Ireland has done throughout the entire COVID-19 pandemic. So the data for that was available at the hpsc.ie, and all the graphs or all the analytics that we generated from the data was done using the Python library, matplotlib and pyplot. So what how visualization can help us is it can better understand how your country is performing, which what kind of restrictions do you need, which what could be the COVID hotspots, what is the vaccination rates, how it is affecting the you can say the way um, the positive rates of the COVID cases are having, or how vaccination or is spread out across different countries, and how vaccinations is helping in reducing deaths. So we have all these kind of analytics. If we look at the bar chart on the left side of a screen, so it was representing like the spread out of the COVID 19 disease across the various age groups. So it quickly helps us to identify, this was at the start of the pandemic, so it helped to identify the vulnerable groups. Then the middle pie chart, it helped us in showing like the vaccine type that was available in the country, and the the vaccine rollout in the country according to the type. So we can see basically initially when we started with the vaccine rollout, Ireland basically had three kind of vaccines in their rollout. That was the Pfizer, Moderna, and the AstraZeneca. So what was the percentage of those rollout among those three vaccine groups? Then on the extreme right, we can see the different countries, and in the form of the bubble chart, and the impact of COVID-19 and the deaths accordingly. The ground, the leftmost, this time series graph is all about looking at helping us in identifying the COVID-19 local hotspots in Ireland. So basically for a particular month, so it shows us like in which of the local electoral areas you have a high prevalence of the disease. And then finally we see with the help of the bar and the line graph combined, the effect of vaccination and how it has slowly helped in reducing the number of positive cases that we see. So what we want to bring about is like we can better understand COVID-19 if we, instead of just focusing on the numbers, these were the numbers that were available. The data is all about numbers, but through smart visualization, it is very easy to understand what's happening with the COVID-19 in your country, and it's helping a lot in making quick decisions in terms of putting restrictions, in terms of you can say in terms of the vaccine rollouts, in terms of analyzing the impact of the COVID-19 on the various age groups and so on. So let's see about a sector which was positively impacted with the COVID-19. We are talking here about the Amazon's uh, e-commerce, basically e-commerce giant. Now, as everyone knows, Amazon is based on these recommendations. So as soon as we log into the Amazon, and the web pages that we browse into. It tries to analyze who are the similar. It immediately builds a profile of us, and it then matches us up to all the other users that are similar to us, and then it helps in quickly recommending. Like if we are buying something, and there are some users who have also purchased something, um, maybe from any of the category, then what was the things, the common things that they purchased together. So you can have these kind of insights quickly. So that's how the Amazon recommendation system is built on. And because of it, it helps, and but because of certain restrictions, and not being able to go to the offline stores for purchasing, we can see that I mean, Amazon had really a great the business increased revenue for this Amazon giant. But similarly, if we see for the other retail giant Walmart, so Walmart fares slightly differently as compared to Amazon, because it's basically based, the business is basically based on the visits of the customers to the store. And so it need to understand some other kinds of demographics than Amazon. So for example, for Walmart, they would be mostly interested in like what are the customer the types. So they would like to segment the customers according to the types, whether they are the B2B customers or the business to consumer customers. And then what were the product categories which really perform well, what were the locations where the Amazon, where the Walmart stores perform better. So again, these numbers would not have made any sense, but bringing this information through visualization helps to quickly understand what's happening with the particular retail store, and how and what all decisions needs to be made, so as to counter the negative impact of the COVID-19. So let's move on this tool, the BI tool, which helps us to gain these quick insights through the visualization without much bothering about numbers, but it helps to give some sense, give some meaning to the numbers, so that we can extract meaningful insights. So like what this online analytical processing is all about. It will be at the heart, it uses a concept called as the multidimensional analysis. So it designs multidimensional models through cube, and that is how the data is being organized. The transactions are very long, like the transactions will have when we talk about long transactions, we talk that the data integration is coming from multiple different sources. So the transactions tend to be very long because you are able to gain insights from many different sources. So the transactions definitely are long. The queries are short, but they are really complex because it would involve lots and lots of join operations. But the one advantage of this is you don't need the queries that are being fired. They don't need to have absolutely up to date database. So even like if even from the snapshots you are able to gain critical insights, and still you it can help to manage better, and bring about the crucial insights of what's happening in that particular business. So how OLAP is able to achieve all this is by touching on large portions of data. So what are these large portions of data? Why do we say that these transactions are long? We'll see with the help of an example towards the end, during the demonstration. But when we talk of business intelligence, basically what exactly is business intelligence? What we need to understand about business intelligence? So in business intelligence, we are basically concerned with a place where we need to store this data. So and from which on and so all the data that is coming from different sources, we need to dump it somewhere, and that particular place is the data warehouse, the data lakes, or the cloud systems. So what it is doing is it's bringing your data from your day-to-day transactions. That is the online and transactional processing. So it's bringing the data from the day-to-day data, which is the current data. Like every minute, if in a stock trading, what's happening every minute, the volumes of stocks that are being sold, or the for an airline industry, it could be the tickets that are being sold for a particular airline. For sales, it could be the number of products sold in a particular store, or the number of units of a product sold. So all these are the data that are coming from the operational sources, and then we dump all these the data, which is very huge in volume. We put it into the data warehouse, and there we design these queries to bringing the crucial insights. So these insights are going to help businesses in making decisions, like like it could be if we have seen some positive and negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. So like it helped to identify like for an airline industry, it helped to identify, okay, so these are the airports where I mean, because of the current restrictions, there would be no departure for flights. So we need to, so the airline can take that particular decisions to have no flights from those routes. Or for a sales, there would be some stores that would not be performing better because of maybe high prevalence of the disease. So for a short period of time, they need to close off in those locations. So it can help it can help the businesses in taking any kind of decisions. Or if some products are being sold, then what are the it will help them in managing the inventory in a better way, so that the demand, whatever is the demand that's coming in, it's able to fulfill those demands. So these are the decisions that businesses needs to take, and all these decisions help them in keeping height of their competitors, as well as help them to improve revenues in spite of the pandemic. So like we said, like how this OLAP operates. So what we define is how the data is organized is in the form of a cube. So what we have is a cube. So cube is basically like we can organize your data in any way that we want. This cube is going to represent the incidents that has occurred in the real world. So it's about a particular event. So as soon as an event has, and if any event is occurring, it's occurring at a particular period of time. So any cube that we design will always have the date dimension, which we can combine it into a date and time dimension, or a location dimension. So basically it will give you that this particular event, like if the sales for a store has occurred, so the store is located in this particular location. So the location is always going to be there in your data cube, and the product was sold, or the number of tickets were sold during this particular period at this particular time. So even the time dimension and the date dimension is always going to be there. In addition to that, you can have other dimensions defined depending upon the business use case that you're dealing with. So like for a sales, you may be interested in the products that are being sold, the units of the product that are being sold, the amount of revenue you are generating by selling a particular product from a particular brand or at a particular location. So these are the different kind of analytics you can go on obtaining by simply organizing your data in the form of a cube. So this example shows about a cube having three dimensions. So whatever analytics you can do with such kind of design could be related to the product. But say if you want to get more other kind of analytics, like you want to also identify the customers, who are the customers who are purchasing these products, and from which stores, and during which time frame, like whether it's the morning period, the afternoon, the evening, or night time. So if you want these kind of analytics, so if so the more complex analytics you can you need to you want to have, you can go on adding dimensions. So the flexibility of organizing your data is you can have a 3 dimension, a 4 dimension, and a n dimensional way of organizing your data. So multidimensional data modeling is all about getting insights across many different dimensions. So let's see how this is possible. So this is possible through some of the operations that we can perform on this on the way the data is being organized. So like we see here that the data is being organized in a cube. Now the way we manipulate this cube depends on what kind of information a person may want to seek. So like say if I just want to transpose between the rows and the columns, I do a simple pivoting on the data, and I mean you can just change the x-axis and the y-axis and see like how your data is again organized or what kind of meaning it's giving. Now the other operation is drill down. Drill down basically helps you to get to a level of detailing, like what kind of detailing you want. So say in case of sales and coming from you are defining a sales cube. So the kind of analytics you may want can depend on the level of detail the business use case has. So like do you want to does the business want to report the quarterly profits, or does the business wants to report the yearly profits, or the monthly, or the fortnightly, or the weekly, or the daily? It all depends on what is the business use case. So drill down basically allows us to go into the detailing, how much level of detailing you want. Similarly, low roll up is the opposite of drill down. It just summarizes everything. So if we had say your data coming from the source was coming daily, then but you want to report monthly, so you can aggregate your daily data into weeks, your weeks into, or daily into fortnight, and then the fortnight into the month. Or if you want only reports on quarterly, then you can um, uh, roll up on your months, so that your months can be divided again into quarters depending on how you define the quarters. It can be 3 quarters or 4 quarters. So the roll up allows us to summarize. And then dicing will help you to gain insight across say about a number of dimensions that you have in mind. So like so suppose you want to see the performance of you take a particular store and you want to see how the store is doing across a particular product and in a particular time frame, then you dice the data. Similarly, for an airline or for any hospitality sector, it could be like the particular airline or the particular hotel, and how and what were the number of rooms that were taken up, or what were the number of tickets that were being sold during a particular time. That can be done through this dicing. And lastly, we have slicing. So slicing will help you to get the details about a particular business. So in that case, in this case, it could be about a particular airline. So how well Delta Airlines fared across the COVID-19 pandemic, or the how well British Airways fared. So you can have, when you are restricting yourself to as a specific business, then you look into this slicing. So with the help of, so by defining a cube, we are and using these 5 operations, we are able to give any level of detailing that we want once, if we are able to organize our data in the form of a cube. So multidimensional modeling of our data truly helps us to get the level of detailing that we may require. And it may depend upon the business and what kind of level of detailing they do need. So the demonstration will be about the coming from the airline industry that has not fared so well into the COVID-19 pandemic. We have seen some negative reporting from this airline industry. So basically, if we were to define the schema, then what events would have happened would be the airlines located at in globally. So we would have the routes. So the routes are the airports, we can say. Then the airlines are all the different airlines that we have. So like for North America, you have some of their own airlines. For the Europe, you have some of their own airlines. And how then again how all these airlines have have performed during this pandemic. So you can have that kind of information. So basically what the thing would have happened, what the fact or the event that would have happened with the airline industry would only be measured in terms of the numbers, and those numbers would be the number of tickets sold. So the number of tickets and then the revenue that was being generated from the number of tickets that was sold. Now the number of tickets that was sold can be across again depending on the business use case. You can even go to further level of detailing, like you can see the number of tickets being sold for the particular class, like a business class, a economic class, a premium economy, and so on. But these are the events that will happen with an airline industry. So it's all about the number of tickets that are sold on a day-to-day basis. So these are the facts, and hence but the events that occur in the real world get stored somewhere. So that particular place is called as a fact table. So a fact table will always because there would be hundreds of different airlines, so fact table would always have millions and billions of rows, because for each airline you need to have so many so much of data. Like each airline would be operating from different airports, and they would be having some different departures. So there would be lots of information coming in. So when we look at that kind of information, we need it to record somewhere, and that central place of recording is a fact table. So consider a fact table as table where you are looking to put in numbers, and where the samples could be tuning to the billions or beyond that. And then you have the dimensions around these facts. So the dimensions could be, like I said, the airlines. So where you can have the details of each of the airlines, say like for Cathay Pacific, so what kind of classes it has, what kind of unit price it is for a particular ticket. So all kinds of information. So whether what kind of the type it is, so whether it is a Airbus or a Boeing, so any aircraft. So these kind of detailing information will go into the airline dimension table. So dimension table basically will give you the details all about a particular dimension, um, and they will hence have less number of samples. But from here, right from the color of a product to the um, to the color of the product, to the product being available in different sizes and shapes and so on. So that kind of information gets located, gets stored in any dimension table. So for your airline schema, if you just design a simple data cube with 3 dimensions, with airline being one of the dimension, the date being another of the dimension, and routes being another of the dimension, still you would be able to get many critical insights from the data. So let's see, for example, how these operations really work. So when we are talking of the drill down operation, and say I am talking about the airline industry now. So like say on the extreme left, we have the routes. So these are the basically the different departure airports from where the flights are scheduled for departing. You have different airlines, you have the Delta, you have the American, and so on. And then you have the date. So you have your date dimension can have yearly and a number into that particular style of the American airline, or it can have a quarter, or it can have a monthly. So say you want to see the performance of a particular airline across its quarters. So then what you are doing is you are decomposing your date dimension, and now you are going to a level of detailing. So you want to see the performance of a airline in various quarters and across different airports. So you have quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. Now say if you want one more level of detailing, then we further drill down. So here the quarters now gets broken into months. So now you have from January to December, and the performance of the airline can be in terms of months. And say suppose you want to see even the daily. So this is the one more level of detailing. So then here what we are doing is we are further decomposing the month into days. So like these help us to get what kind of can it can help us to have any level of detailing. It depends on the business use case. So OLAP operations are very for flexible, because the way we define our cube and the level of detailing, it will allow us to go to that particular level to bring in the right kind of right kinds of insights about the performance. So it could be similarly a performance of a store, or it could be the performance of shares on a stock market and how they are doing. So here maybe in a stock market you may be looking at a granularity which will be not daily, but it can be hourly also, or it can be put into three periods. So at the opening time, and then during the middle of the day, how the stock market is performing. So the volume of shares that get traded. And then instead of airlines you have the the companies whose the names of the companies. And then I mean you can have in terms of numbers the volumes that gets on traded. So depending on the business use case, you can go on having any level of granularity that you need. So we can so in another example, you can if your data is coming the sources that's going to give you data is always detailed. But if you just want to have a quick picture summarization of how well a business is performing over the years, then you can do an operation, a simple operation, that is roll up. So like there we decomposed if we had organized our data in the form of a cube, but now we want to see over the years how the revenue has been increased. So we can just roll up to year. So here we are rolling up from quarter to years. So you can directly compare the 2020 and 2021 and get an insight of how much negatively the maybe because of the COVID-19 the business how what kind of impact it had on that particular industry or sector. The slicing allows us to look into data for one particular business. So like in this case, if you have various kind of airlines, like you have Delta, you have United Airline, and you have maybe n number of those, and you just want to see the performance of all those airlines in for the month of August. So slicing will allow you to do that. It will slice along a particular month only, and herein you can get in all the details. So these different airlines and the routes on which they on the flights are scheduled, and like what was the frequency of those flights. So these kind of analytics you can do with the slicing. And then finally we have dicing. So again the dicing can help you to understand the performance of a particular airline. And here what we have is like the total revenue that's being generated by different airlines across different quarters and across different routes. So dicing is you go on adding more complexity. So if you go on adding just more complexity, you can look into the dicing operation. So basically you are adding here more conditions. And pivoting is just the way how you are looking at your the organization. So like what goes on the x-axis and what goes on the y-axis. So you can, it's just a transpose operation. So that's what you do with the pivoting. So we have a library that helps us to get all these kind of visual analytics. And now I'll hand over to Gauri, who will discuss about the ATOT library and how we can gain insights from different use cases. So over to you, Gauri.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so now we will start first with understanding what exactly is Atoti library. So as we saw, there are multiple tools available that will help us in analyzing the data, with querying the data with OLAP operations, and also with various visualization techniques. So one such platform is there called as Atoti library, and Atoti library helps in analyzing millions of rows that comes with the data. As ma'am just mentioned that when we are dealing with daily data like stock market or airline industry, there are millions and trillions of rows generated daily, and they are to be analyzed frequently with maybe within seconds or within hours or within or for each day. So for that, it is important that you are using a tool for your business use case that supports such processing of data, and that gives us live analysis of our data. Also, Atoti library supports all the OLAP operations with multiple dimensions. Even when we have 4 or 5 dimensions or more than that, even that is supported by Atoti. We will also see that in our demonstration example. And then we have, it is compatible with different multiple programming languages like JavaScript as well as Python and Java. And it uses Conda for its distribution. So for today's demonstration, we will be using the Atoti library that is supported in Python. And it can be installed from the link provided here. And if we are considering only Python, it can be downloaded with the command on the command prompt with the command called as pip install Atoti and in bracket Jupyter. So now we will have a walkthrough to all the OLAP operations and how it is reflected easily on the dashboard with less coding and more drag and drop things, so that we are seeing the live visualizations and we do not need to code much. So now let us first understand the data set. So as you can see here, this is one large file with multiple columns, which is called as the RFAC table. This is the main table where multiple rows will be appended daily according to our use case. We are considering this data for airline industry, and this data is a simulated data. This is not a real-time data, but we have generated it for the period of 1st January, 5th January 2020 to 30th April 2021. So we have covered around 18 months here, and we have made sure that it reflects the real-time data. So if we consider the first column, this column reflects the index column where each ID will map to some information, the daily transactions that are happening in the airline industry. Then we have the date column, and the date column is having multiple dimensions that will be stored in the date date dimension table. So here we have, for if you want to understand more granularity about this particular dimension, then we will actually go to this table. So in dimension table, the data is not changing daily. It does not changes frequently. Either after a period of 6 months or 1 month, when something changes, in that sense, in that case only, the dimension table changes. Otherwise, all the transactions that are happening are only appended in the main fact table. Then we have the route ID. So the route ID would be mapping the destinations from which the airplane would be departing, and the destination airport that the aircraft would be reaching. So this is the information that would be that this route ID would be containing. And then we have the airline ID, where we have multiple airlines covered, like the Delta Airlines, American Airlines, and 234 airlines. Then we have here, suppose the bookings for business class. This column captures the number of bookings for business class for this airline. Then we have the ticket price for this particular business class. Similarly, we have bookings for the premium economy class and the unit price for this premium economy class. And then we have the bookings for the normal economy class and the units price for that. And then we have the total revenue generated. So in our business model, we are specifically interested to calculate the revenue generated from airline industry to present a comparative analysis of how COVID has impacted the revenue generated when the number of COVID patients was drastically high in the world, and how it changed when the number of COVID patients were less. So we will try to analyze this from in our demonstration. So now let's start with the main Jupyter notebook. So first, we will be importing the Atoti library. For those who are new in Python, we will just use the import keyword. The Atoti is a library that we have already downloaded, as I shared in the slide before. And then we would be using, we will be importing this as a small name, because every time we have to use a function from the library Atoti, we will not use a very large name. We will use the small name as TT. TT will refer to Atoti only. Now, the first step that we need to have here is to create a session variable. This is because we will be saving the live changes that we'll be making to the data on the live dashboard. So it is very important that we have a session variable. So first we will have a session variable created with this function, create underscore session. And then we are going to read our first file, that is our fact table. So we will read the data with read underscore CSV function, where the first parameter is the path of our file. So my file is stored in data folder, and the file name is salesdata.csv. And here we are providing the key. As we see here, this was our first column, and this served as a index column. We will be providing this as keys in reading the data file. Now, the second step for us to have is we have to create a queue, because our airline data is having multiple dimensions. So it is important that we fit all these columns into one single queue to understand what are the different dimensions to our data set and what we can analyze from the data. So for this purpose, there is a function called as create underscore queue, and we will just pass the parameter as the file variable name where we read our file, the salesdata.csv. So when we print this queue, we have different hierarchies here, where we have airline ID, our bookings, our date, and our route ID. And we have multiple measures. So measures are the columns in the data set from which we can analyze something. So here, if we see the total revenue, the unit prices for each of the seats in our airlines are all converted into measures, and others are already converted into dimensions. So we are not doing this. This is done directly by Atoti. It itself analyzes that what columns are to be considered as measures and what are to be considered as dimensions. So let us understand the concept called as hierarchy, because that we will be using in querying the data. So if we consider that our airline industry is suppose a queue, then what we can say, this axis that you see on the left hand side is called as the hierarchy. For example, we have the airline ID. So airline ID is mapping to the name of the airline, the number of seats available in that particular aircraft. So this would be the airline hierarchy. Again, we have a date dimension where the date is mapping to year, month, and quarter. So we have a different hierarchy here called as the date, and we have the third hierarchy here that we would be call as the route, where route is mapping to the departure airport and the destination airport. So in this way, we have multiple hierarchies to our main fact table. So when we print this with the help of hierarchies is a property that we can directly use provided by Atoti. So when we print this, we can see that we have airline ID as one of our hierarchies. Then we have bookings for all the classes. Then we have the data ID, and we have date, and we have route ID. So all the hierarchies that we defined just now are already printed here. And then we have levels. So what exactly is a level? So level is even the drilling down of that particular hierarchy. For example, if we consider a geographical location, for example, if we consider a city, so a city belongs to a state and a state belongs to a country. So when we say the country, state, and city are the levels of that particular location, suppose location is our hierarchy. So these three are the levels. So as of now, as we are seeing only the fact table, we are using the data from the dimension table, but we have yet not joined that to gain the extra information. Therefore, what we are seeing in the levels is we are only seeing the first dimension is the sales data, and the level that this hierarchy is providing is only the airline ID. That means all the dimensions that we defined just now are the levels that are available. And then we have the measures. So as we saw even initially also, these all are the measures that are already identified by a TOTI library, and they give us to have the analysis for our business use case. Only the first measure that we are seeing, contributors.count, this is a predefined a TOTI measure, which is given by default if we want to count the number of rows for a particular thing. So if we want to count something like the number of rows for a particular query, then we will not have to write again, we will not have to code more. We can directly use the contributors.count measure and we can use that. So now let us try to query with one measure, that is total revenue.sum. So what we have to do, if we have to use this particular measure, so we will be just using it in the function called as query function. So we will just write as the measure and provide the parameter as one of the measures from here. So for example, here I have used total revenue.sum. So I will get the total revenue generated over 18 months, right, from January 2020 to April 2021. Now, similarly, if instead of sum, we want to have the average of the total revenue generated over these 18 months, we'll have to just pass the another measure given here. That was the total revenue.mean. So in this way, we can use multiple measures according to our requirement. Now let us go towards dicing. So as we saw initially, dicing is nothing but taking the information along one dimension. So for example, we have to gain all the total revenue, but just we have to divide the total revenue according to airlines. So so we will use the same function cube.query, and along with the measure, we will also pass one more parameter called as levels. And in levels, we will pass that for what level or what dimension we want to have the total revenue. So for example, if we want to have for multiple airlines, so we will have airline ID, as the airline ID was the column name. So when we print this, we will get the revenue generated for all the 4 different airlines. Similarly, if instead of airlines, let us consider another dimension, that was route, where the route gave us the destination and the departure airports. So if we have the route ID as our dimension, we will get the total revenue generated according to the routes. We have around 24 routes in our data set. So we are getting the revenues generated along all the 24 routes. And similarly, we have the third dimension called as date. So if we pass in the levels parameter, if we pass as the level as date, then we will have the revenue generated for each date, as we can see here. Now let's understand what is slicing. So slicing is taking one dimension, but we have to filter a condition in that dimension. For example, if you want to have the revenue generated for airline called as American Airlines, so this is called as slicing. So there is very less coding. We have the same function called as cube.query, and the first parameter is same. But instead of levels, now we will be passing condition. So when we pass condition, the data is now sliced according to the filter. So we will have the data generated for American Airlines. The total revenue we will get here for American Airlines. Similarly, instead of airline ID, if we want to have it for, suppose, for example, route ID number 1, if we want to get the total revenue, so instead of airline ID, we will pass the condition as route ID, and we will just have it equal to R001. Then we will get the total revenue for the first route. Now, what if we want to dice along multiple dimensions? For example, if we also want to have data along airlines and we also want to have the data along the dates. So how we can do that? So again, when we were dicing along just single dimension, we were only passing one level, that was L is equal to suppose date. But now we will pass multiple dimensions. We can pass even 2, 3 dimensions here. So whatever would be the sequence of your leveling, the data would be presented in that sense. For example, we have first taken the condition as date, and then we have the route ID. So the data would be first diced along the time dimension, then along the route dimension. If you interchange, for example, if you have first route and then date, then the data representation will also change accordingly. So according to our whatever data we want to represent, we can manipulate with a single tweaking. But what if we want to slice along multiple dimensions? Like for example, we want to have the data to total revenue generated for American Airlines and for also Delta Airlines. So can we do that? Then the answer is no, because we cannot slice along multiple dimensions. For slicing, it is important that you provide just one single condition. If you want to have also for Delta Airlines, then you will have to write the same function of cube.query. And then again provide the condition as airline ID is equal to Delta Airlines. Now, if we want to slice and dice together, then we can do that. We can provide dicing along multiple dimensions. Like here, we will provide all the dicing condition, and then we have the slicing condition where again slicing will be only done along one single dimension. Now we have read the fact table. Now we will also join to gain more granularity from the data, to get more details from the data. We would also have the different files that we had, the dimension files that we had. We will now join it with our main fact table. So we have the routes.csv file. So we will again read as we read our first file, and we will then join it to our first file generated. So when we join it to the first file, we will get a new schema where we also have the routes. Now we have the route dimension mapped to our main file dimension. So as we see now, if we again see the hierarchies available, we have two more hierarchies here, the departure and destination, which were from the routes table. So now we can directly use that a new hierarchy, the departure hierarchy that we got, and then we can directly use it. For example, if you want to understand the revenue generated according to the departure airports, so we can have that information now. So similarly, we have one new dimension called as airline. We can also join it in the same way. The function is again the same, where our main variable dot join, and we will pass the new variable where we are reading the airline dimension. So we will again join this, and the new schema will look like this, where we also have now all the dimensions, the features available in the airlines dimension table. So for example, now we have a column name called as airline name from the airline dimension. What if we want to slice the data according to that dimension? So we can do that now. So instead of condition is equal to where we were using first airline ID, now if we use name, we will get the data, the total revenue generated for American Airlines. And finally, we have our date dimension, where we have three more detailing below date dimension, the level down hierarchies. Now we can also use this information in our analysis. So for example, let us use it in defining a new level of measure. We have one single measure called as the total revenue dot sum. If we want to change the representation of total revenue in the form of quarters, as we have 4 quarters, so we will change the representation of total revenue in the form of 4 quarters. So for that, we will just have a measure called as revenue quarter. Any name we can give here, and then we would use the aggregate.sum function, which is given by authority, and we will provide the first parameter as the measure that would be the main measure that we will be using, defined by authority. And now what we want to do, we want to just divide this measure into more quarters. So instead of quarter, if we wanted to have the total revenue generated either for year or for month, instead of quarter, we would have been passing here either month or year. Then we would have gotten the respective data. So let us see what the new measure is giving us. So when we query this according to the level as quarters, we will get the new measure giving us the measures the total revenue generated for the 4 quarters. So now these were all about the numbers with very less code. As you see, the function was almost the same. We just tweaked one single parameter and the entire visualization was different. So now how to do it on the live application. So we will now just quickly see that. So we are doing this with session. This is the session variable that we created our session with, and URL is the property defined by Atoti library. And when we run this, we get a single address bar, and when we click this, a dashboard will open. So I have already created a small use case for you. I'll first explain that how this dashboard works like. So on the left hand side, first we will get all the measures. So this will contain all the measures that we have created. As you can see here, we also have the revenue quarter. This was our measure that we just now customizedly defined, and all the default measures that the Atoti gives us. And then we have all the hierarchies and levels that we have in our current session. Then we have here, these are the fields where we can just drag and drop any of the hierarchy or any of the column, and then accordingly our visualization will change. Then coming to the right hand side, we have the upper bars. You are seeing these are the different types of visualizations provided by the dashboard application, where you can just quickly click just one single click, you can change the representation of the data. So whatever best suits your data or your business business use case, it can be changed accordingly. So for example, what I have done here, I have considered, I'll show you in the form of table first. So what I have done, we have the revenue quarter generated for 4 quarters and for the year 2020 and 2021. So we have 2 years and we have 4 quarters, and we have divided the total revenue in 2 years and 4 quarters. Now we want to compare that how the COVID has impacted the revenue in all the quarters of 2020 and 2021. But now if we first, for example, if we just want to visualize it with pie chart, so we can see here there are for each of that section, there are different colors generated. But if we see 2020 and 2021 has 2 things in common, that is 2 quarters in common. Though 2021 has not passed yet 3rd and 4th quarter, but 2 quarters are common. But here we are not having that comparative analysis understanding. So for that sense, it would make more sense when we have a stacked bar graph, because here we have only the 4 quarters, and then even for 4 quarters, the orange stack is representing the year 2021 and the blue one is representing the year 2020. So this will now make more sense, because we can understand now that for year 2021 and in quarter 1, the revenue was this much. And similarly in 2020, in 1st quarter, the revenue generated was this much. So now we can understand that in 2020's 1st quarter, the COVID was rapidly increasing, and therefore the total revenue generated has drastically dropped down as compared to 2021. So for example, now let us see that we know that for year 2021, this has not we have not covered 3rd and the 4th quarter. So how if we just want to see the 1st and 2nd quarters, and we want to drop down the 2nd and 3rd. So for that, we would be filtering the column. So how I'm doing, I'm just clicking this from the left. I'm just dragging it to a particular field called as the widget filter. This is because I want to filter the data. I just want to have the data for 1st and 2nd quarter, so that it is a fair comparison. So as we can see, immediately the data visualization changed. And this is the importance of the creating a session variable, because if we wouldn't have created a session, this wouldn't have been able to, we wouldn't have been able to see this live. Again, for example, along with quarter, we also want to see this only for a particular airline. So this was the aggregate for all the airlines. So for example, I only want to have the comparative analysis for American Airlines. So when I again apply a filter, again the data will change accordingly. So in this way, we can manipulate the data from these fields, and we can also change the visualization accordingly. Whatever best suits our business use case, then we can use that particular representation. And from the the particular options that are seen here above the image, here we can zoom a particular part of the graph. We can also zoom in and zoom out a particular part of the graph. We can also auto scale it, and we can also download it as an image, so that we can use anywhere, even in our slides or somewhere if you want to use. So these are the kind of analytics that the business in the real cases are using, because only the numbers do not make any sense. When they are accompanied with smart visualizations, they would make some sense when taking proper decisions. So this was all about the demo. Over to you, ma'am.
So thanks, Gauri. So in this way, we can get, I mean, we can give some meaning to the numbers. We saw with an example of how Atoopti helps us to do this quickly and in a very smart manner. Just remember that we need to, for all of this information, we just need to be looking into the defining our measures correctly. So the fact table and what kind of information goes into the fact table is only about the events that are occurring to the real world. Rest, any information will always go into your dimension table. So like even say if a new product is going to come in, you just change the dimension table. There's nothing to do into the fact table till the time that particular product has been sold. Or say like if in a for an automobile industry use case, you have a new kind of automobile coming with some new make or with some new color, again that information will go into just the dimension table, unless and until that particular event has not occurred, the sale of that particular event has not occurred, that information will not go into the fact table. So basically what we are looking at, like what kind of events are happening, those information gets recorded into the fact table, whereas dimension table is all about the detailing that you can have of of any of the business. So we have only these kind of things, and for so just with the help of us fact table and some smart the dimensions that we define according to the business use cases, we can see the power of IoT in bringing about crucial insights to whatever level of granularity that you require. So that's all from both of us. And if you like need to contact us about this library further, then feel free to reach out to us on these emails, and you can follow us on the Twitter. So thanks
Thank
a lot.
you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Both of you, an amazing presentation. We learned it was comprehensive as it can get. Thank you so much. If you don't mind, could we open the floor to possible questions for about 5 to 10 minutes now?
Sure, sure.
Sure. Okay, great. So if you have questions, you can raise your hands up and I'll call you upon to ask your question, or you could put it down in the chat box. We'll wait 5 minutes to see if there are any questions.